Hi, welcome back everyone. Last session we have seen how to save the data inside the database using a model. We have already understood how to write a controller, how to write a migration. So we have created the tables, saved the data, but there was something missing in all this part. We have not saved the data from the view inside the database, right? So today we are going to create the view. We'll be using a bit of bootstrap into it. I'll just not write it from scratch. I'll pick up some snippet and we'll create a view, and then we are going to update the data inside the database. Forget about validation right now. We'll not talk about validation in this session. Our motive is to understand that how are we going to use the model, view and controller together, and then the enhancement part we'll see in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so let's start with creating up a view. And the first thing I have to do is I have to first create a view, a form where I'm going to create the post. So let's go to the file structure first. In the resources folder, go to the views folder, create a new folder, and I'll keep the name as post. Inside this post, I'm going to write a file. I'll call it as create.blade.php. And I'll also write another file. I'll call it as index.blade.php. Now, why these two files? With the name itself, like create one, we can understand that this is going to show the form. Index will be for listing of the post, right? Okay, so let's take some snippet over here. We can copy it, put it in the create as well as in the index blade.php. Okay, I'll remove the title. I'll write some title over here, create post. So this is the link, CDN link for Bootstrap CSS, and then we have the JS link, Bootstrap bundle JS. Okay, we need to write a form. Okay, so we'll go to the form section over here. Here is the form control. So let's pick up this form. This is good enough. It will work for us. And let's copy this, put it over here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a form which will have these are the form controls. I have yet to add the form tag. So these are the form controls which would be creating up a text field and a text area. So text field we will use for title, text area we'll use for the content. Okay, so I'll go and wrap it inside the form. Let's go for the form. Action equals to some route and method equals to, we'll put the post. Right, let's end the form. Okay, I'll try to format this document. Okay, it works. All right, so now we are going to change the name of the fields a bit. This one would be for title, and here I'll say post title. Let's remove the placeholder for now, and we need to set a name for the field. So I'll keep the name as title. Okay, change the type. We need it as a text field. Next, this is for the content of the post. Text area, put the name for it. Name equals content. And let's go over here, update it to the post content. Fine. We need to create an action, right? Where is this form going to submit the data? We need an endpoint for fetching this form as well. So I'll go to the web routes and I'm going to clean up all these things not required, or let's comment it. I'm not cleaning it now because might be these routes are used somewhere in the views, etc. So in that case it will break our app. So I'll clean it up after this session. So let's go and write up a route to show the post creation form route. So it will be a get route, and the name of endpoint of the route will be post slash create, and then we are going to write map it with the post controller. Now let's check if I have created a post controller earlier or not. It is not there, so let's quickly create that. PHP artisan make controller post controller. Whenever you are writing a controller, you can write the name of the controller in the plural form. This is a convention. Many developers follow it, many not. So it will not be a big issue, right? So you can write a post controller or a post controller, that is fine. Okay, so post controller is created over here, and I need two methods. One to show the form, right? So I'll call it as a create. Create method is mapped with showing of the form, will be mapped. And next one will be public function store. Okay, you can write any other name for now, but I would prefer create and store because Laravel creates up the resource route. There is a concept of resource route. We'll do it later in advanced controller part. So here I'm creating up two methods, create and store, and create would be returning a view, right? Where have we created that view? Inside the post folder. Let's put single quotes, post folder dot create. Okay, and this create method needs to be mapped with your endpoint. So let's end it. Map it. Post controller colon class. If you are adding a controller over here, do not forget to map it inside your namespace also. Okay, and second parameter will be the name of the method. So here it is, create. I'm going to copy this, change the endpoint to post, and we'll remove this create, right? This is a bit convention we use for endpoints. When we are going to learn more about API routes, there you will really find this thing handy. Creation of this post form, right? If I'm creating up a post, so the form will be displayed on this endpoint, and when I'm going to submit, I'll use the post endpoint only, and this will be mapped with the store. Okay, so endpoint is ready. I should give some name to it. So here I'll call it as name. I follow a convention which is followed by Laravel also, right? So, or we can say Laravel is following a convention and I follow it looking at the Laravel way of following that convention. So here I'll give the name of this route as the resource is post and the method name is create. So I'm picking up this part from my resource here, and this create I'm picking it from post controller create method. So what is the name of second route? The name of the second route is going to be post dot method name is store, correct? So now we have two endpoints. Okay, let's write some code over here. Create is good. Store, when I'm going to store, I need the request object, else I would have to follow that $_request. I don't want to follow that kind of code. I'll use the request class, and now I have the request object. Laravel has injected the instance here. So let's pick up the title. Title equals to $request input method title. Okay, and then content equals $request input content, right? So we have got this data. Now I want to save this data inside the database. Recall yesterday's code. Create the object of the post equals to new post, and I need to include it in my namespace. So $post title equals $request. Oops, sorry, not request, simply title and then we have the content equals dollar content. Okay, and this is done. So now I need to save it. Post, call the save method. Okay, let's do a return post, my bad, return post created successfully. Okay, so now I have a form which will be displayed, and I have a store method which is going to store the data. Now I need to map our endpoint of submission inside the form. Okay, so here you have to mention the route. So the route will become use the blade directives and route method. Inside that, pass the name of the route. Name of the route is, if you follow convention, you won't get any issue. Like, you don't have to go to the web.php and always like call the name of the route, because I have followed the convention. So it would be post dot store is the method which I always use for storing the data. Method is post. Something I'm missing is @csrf. Okay, and something more we are missing is the input type is equal to submit. Okay, I'm not good at designing part, right? That's why I have used Bootstrap. So we can write some class over here. Class is equal to form control and the btn hyphen, let's put success. Not very good at designing. I don't remember a lot of class names. Okay, so let's go back to the browser and test our form, whether the form is created or not. So post slash create. This is the point where we have like mapped. Oops, sorry. Typo error over here in the URL. Post create. Okay, so zoom it to 100%. Right. I'll add one more div. Class is equal to container, and we'll end it over here. Okay. Yes. Okay. Not very good, but worth, we can do it right now. Okay, so we have the post title, a field, post content, then content field, and then we have the submit button. So if I'm going to click on the submit button, it is going to show me a database error because we have not put the validation, and it is going to submit the form. Database has some validation of its own, like the title field should not be null, content field should not be null, I think, and that will generate up a database error. So let's submit this and see that database error. Okay, see, so integrity constraint, title cannot be null, right? Now we need to put some data, right? Put some data. So here I'm going to write this is a post created from form, and this is content for the post. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'm going to truncate, I mean delete all these rows. Let's delete this as well. Okay, so now blog post is not having any record, and if we submit this, everything is good. It should show us the message, and it should add the record inside my database. So submit post created successfully, and let's refresh the database, and here the record is generated. Okay, now let's suppose I want to see this data in the index page. I want to see this data inside the index page. Here is your index page. Okay, so let's close these files. We'll go to the web.php. We'll create two routes again. Sorry, one route only to get the post. Okay, so now I'll use the get method and I'm going to create the route with the endpoint name post, right? And here post dot, I'll map the name with the index. Method from the controller is index. So let's write one more method over here. Public function index. Right now, let's not bother about filter and all. We'll do it later, the searching feature and everything. Currently only saving the data and fetching the data from the database to list it on the screen on the page, right? So we need to fetch all the records, right? We need to fetch all the records and show it inside the view. View is your index.blade. So let's list posts, remove it. Let's go and get a table. Here is the table. I'll pick up just a table from here. Okay, and it will go into the div container, div class container. All right, let's quickly check this page. Okay, so here we are going to return view, and the page is post dot index, right? One confusion I want to remove over here, that this naming part is only a convention. If you are good to write something else, that is fine. You can write the different name and you can map it with the web routes over here, right? But possibly in next couple of sessions, I'll show you that why these names are meaningful. I may reduce the amount of code written over here. A single route will be mapped with all the methods of your controller, right? So the CRUD, for the CRUD, you only need to write one line of route over here, not all get, post, delete, put, patch, right? So that is called as a resource route. Okay, so let's see this page quickly. I'll go to the web.php to quick verify get post endpoint, index is the method, and post.index. Okay, looks good. Go to the browser and run this. Okay, you can see this is the table being displayed, right? But it is containing up some different data. So let's go and change it. What are we going to write over here? So first I need is title, content, and action. In the action, whether we want to delete a post or we want to edit it up. Okay, so that's my table heading. Let me format the document. Okay, and we don't need all these hard-coded rows. We can remove it because I'll use a loop over here, right? And inside that loop, we'll pick up the data and one by one, we'll show it over here. So let's go to the post controller. And first thing is fetch all posts from post table. Okay, so to fetch all the post, we'll fetch it in the form of collection, right? Collection is like you are making up group of objects. So post equals post class colon all, right? All means it is going to fetch all the records of the post table, right? All the records of the post table. So here we get all the post, and we are going to pass this post to this particular index using compact function, and here we are going to say post, right? So if there is a post variable, it is going to pass it to the index view, right? Let's go to the index view. I am getting a post collection, right? Array of objects, you can think for now. At for each, at the rate for each, and at the rate and for each, right? Bit different than PHP. You could have used PHP also here, right? You can do a PHP thing also here. You can write like for each and then end for each, something like this. We could have written this, right? But this is not a good practice. Don't use raw PHP inside your blade syntax, right? Because blade template is coming with all the like you can say syntax for using if conditions, for each loop, for loop, right? Declaration of the variables, giving some output of the variable. So all those syntax is already provided by the blade syntax, blade template. So here we are going to use @ for each, and inside this I am getting the post as $post, right? So this for each loop is going to run and iterate and return us the rows, right? Create the rows. So here we can display the data from our post variable. So one by one post variable will be getting the post from the collection, and we can show the ID. Okay, let's copy this. Right here in the action I will write a couple of things: edit, delete. Okay, just for mentioning up that there will be a edit and delete feature. I'm not creating any actions for now. Let's put it in the form of hyperlink. href equals to hash okay, we'll use button, we'll make it a bit presentable, and here we are going to write the title and content. Save. So let's go and run this, see this page, and here you can see it's showing us a table which is having 7th record, title, and the content. Here we have the edit and delete, which is not yet actionable. We'll do it later. So let's create one more record, right? Let's put one more record and see if the list page is getting updated or not. Do we need to make any changes in my code or not? So here I'm going to insert some more data. Okay, so I'll call it as second post, title, and second post, content, submit, right? So here if you refresh this page, you are getting the new record. Now there is a problem over here that if I am going to add more and more records, suppose I'm going to refresh this page, so this will be keep on inserting the previous record only again and again. So there would be a duplicate record. So I think around 7 or 8 records would have been created. 7-8 posts would have been created. Let's refresh this page. Yeah, so you can see there are around 11 posts. Okay, but this are very small posts, right? Suppose if you are having a big post, lorem generator. Okay, let's write up a kind of actual post. This is the title, and this would be the content, submit. Let's go and look it over here. Now see what is happening. You have to scroll through the page, right, to come to this post. But what if I was just going to present 5 posts, or let's say 4 posts or 10 posts on a page, and there can be a separate page, right? So we can have a page number like, okay, click on page 1, it shows me 5 posts, page 2, next 5 posts. So if I had to do the same work with core PHP, there was going to be a lot of tasks. I would have to manage the offset, I would have to manage the limit, right? But with Laravel, it's a very quick task. We have to just use a paginate function, right? So here I can use a, instead of all, I can use a paginate function that, okay, I want 5 posts on the page, right? 5 posts on the page. So now there will be a page 1, page 2, page 3. So how are we going to show that? Let's save this first, refresh your page. Only 5 posts are displayed, right? How can I present the rest of the post? So I'm going to call a function on my posts collection, which is actually a paginator object now. I think the method is links. Let's refresh it. Right. Now you would be getting up this kind of problem, right? The reason is Laravel by default supports now Tailwind CSS, right? Tailwind CSS. If you are using Bootstrap, there is a small like line of code which you have to add inside your app service provider file. Right, for now you may not be aware like what is this app service provider going to do. For now you can just understand this is like a control center of your application. If you want to make any changes inside your application, you can post it over here and it will manage to make the changes. So what change we have to do, right? Where should I look it for? We'll go to the Laravel page, documentation. Let's go to the basics, blade template, and one second, I'll check it. Okay, here you can check. I'm just searching on this search bootstrap. So customizing the pagination view, you can click on this link, and yes, here it is mentioning about how are you going to use the bootstrap with your Laravel, right? So I think the version we are using is 5, so I'll copy this. Let's put this first. I have mentioned that the file you have to add is app service provider. You can find the app service provider in the app providers folder, okay? Or you can use the shortcut Command P or Control P and search for app service provider. If you are like good with VS Code, it would be very easy for you to access this file. Then I'll copy this paginator, add it inside the boot method. So here you are modifying the default behavior, right? You are telling Laravel that okay, the paginator class should use the bootstrap styles, right? So now go back and refresh your page. You can see it looks good. You have the paginator somewhere at the top. Let me check why it has jumped on the top of the table. I'll post it after the table. Right, here it comes. So now this is the page 1. Click on 2 and see Laravel is beautifully handling your query params of page 2, 3, page 3. So Laravel is aware that the pagination would be of an offset of 5. So the limit is like 5, and therefore it is calculating using the page. You don't have to write any code changes in your view. You don't have to manage of like, okay, I'm going to fetch 5 records, then next 5 record, then next 5 record. All that work is done by the paginate method. The return type is, it is returning a length aware paginator, which is handling up all the work over here. So that's all for today's session. I'll upload this recording shortly on our YouTube channel, and I would request all of you to please share it with your friends or colleagues who want to learn Laravel, who are beginner, right? Right now it is not an expertise level of training, but yes, it is a beginner. Following, like once we complete up this beginner level, we'll go for the advanced mode, where we will be talking about how we can use the Laravel to develop a large scale application or best practices of Laravel. Thank you everyone.